Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good day, wherever you are. Welcome to the Revolutionary Spa. Welcome. My name, the host of the Revolutionary Spa, which is self purposeful action, is Sophia Sebi. And today's topic, we're going to talk about choice and the power of two. So, welcome to you all, wherever you're watching from: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, um, YouTube, mainly YouTube. Thank you for being on here. Thank you for being with us this evening. Thank you on UNN Live TV. And we are also on our website, which is getunn.com. We're on radio, we're on I think all the different social media platforms. But I thank you so much for being on here. I thank you for watching with us this evening, spending your quality time with UNN TV, with me, and also giving yourself a chance at learning, giving yourself a chance at knowing differently how to go about your life and making a choice about, because you did make a choice today. It was either watching, coming on UNN Live with me this evening, or you had a choice to scroll through the different social media platforms, but you chose to be on here today. So we appreciate your support. Keep supporting the work that we do, because it's all about educating ourselves, having knowledge. But also remember, it's not necessarily just taking in all the knowledge all the time. It's really about using that knowledge that you learn from here and other useful or helpful platforms to put it in action. The crux of the matter is that you cannot just have knowledge. Knowledge is not just power, but application of knowledge is power. So today's topic, it is about choice and the power of two. We'll talk about that. Of course, as we start our program, we go through prayer and gratitude. Who are we grateful for? And then we go into the lessons learned and the reflections of the week or of the month or this of almost the year, because it's 2 months away. Imagine when we finish October, it is going to be 2 months away to the end of the year. What have you done? What have you learned? How have you applied it in your own life? As always, you all know I am going to converse or articulate, yes, converse in the English language. So I do apologize for you, for those who are going to maybe wanting to get a translation or interpretation of what I am saying. Call a friend or tell a friend to tell a friend that what is it that Sophia is saying on UNN today. So I'm not going to apologize for that, but this is the way that I have, unfortunately or fortunately, learned how to articulate myself in the English language rather than the mother tongue. But I do speak the mother tongue. It's just that I feel and I believe I cannot articulate the message that I want to share with you today. So today, it's about choice and the power of two. So as we go through our presentation today, I will, we'll go through prayer and gratitude. Then we'll look at the world view of the revolution, because the revolution is not just in Uganda. Then we'll look at the detail of this choice, the thing called choice, and the power of two. My reflection, this is my take on it. What I say here is not absolute. There's so much more. There are many other people that know more than I do, but I am sharing with what I know. It doesn't mean that I know everything. No, I don't. But I'm hoping that we will learn one thing or two from this evening. So without going any further, I just want to start off with prayer. As we start with prayer, we praise God Almighty for enabling us to be present and continue to grant us with good health, mind, body, and spirit. We pray for the love, courage, hope, and wisdom of those gone before us, present and yet to come. for those lost loved ones, especially those lost lives due to murders, torture, and any other causation of their death by the greedy leaders. We pray for those who are hospitalized or suffering from traumatic injuries. It might be psychological or physical, emotional. We do pray for them all. We pray for ourselves that we may heal from these injuries, seen and unseen. And of course, those injuries, especially sustained from torture or inhumane treatment, like rape, domestic violence, and civil wars, or political. Those who are wrongfully imprisoned, may they have a miracle that an angel visits to give them comfort, hope, and relief that their plight will soon be over. And in terms of gratitude, I am grateful to you all who are on here today with us, who are here with me to hopefully learn a thing or two. I am grateful for your support. We are grateful for your support. And of course, mainly my colleagues, the UNN team back in front of house, especially the producers, social media warriors, and the chapters, UFCC chapters, wherever you are. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for being involved in your change, in your freedom. And special thanks, of course, to our elders, present and past. We appreciate all that we are about to learn, or we have learned over the time, over the year. It is coming to only 2 months before the end of the year. So we need to be reflecting on what is it exactly that we have learned over the year. Today, yesterday, this week, what have you learned? How are you going to apply that to tomorrow? So put your comments in the chat. What is it that you've learned the day before? The information shared around all the UNN platforms, the Telegram platform. I'm on there sometimes, and it's so good to see that people are really seeing this revolution as a wider issue. It's not about just the Ugandan revolution. So let's go into our national anthem. As you put in your comments in the chat, put in the comments where you from, where you watching from, where you listening from, what have you learned in the past year or so, what have you learned last week, today, the day before, and how you're going to apply it in your own life. It's about self-purposeful action, which is why the Revolutionary Spark show is here. So I'm your host, Sophia Sebi. Let's go into our national anthem and then come back to reflect on our learning. Thank you.
Oh, Uganda, may God uphold thee. We lay our future in thy hand. United, free, for liberty, together we'll always stand. Oh, Uganda, the land of freedom, our love and labor we give, and with neighbors all at our country's calling, peace and friendship.
Okay, welcome back. Welcome back. This is Sophia Sebi, and this is the Revolutionary Spa on UNN Live TV. Today's topic, we are about choice and the power of two. So welcome to you all. And before I go any further, let me just shout out to all of you particularly around, I'm just watching from Facebook. So I'm just going to shout out, to all of you who are on here. So Chrisland Ronald Kawemba, welcome. Hello, Setimba Alex, welcome. Chrisland, I think I've said that. Daniel Chigozi, hello, how are you? I'm okay, thank you. Tugume Julius, how are you? And all those Abali Mukamoli, right? Because I can see more people, but I don't see many comments. So please do interact, do comment on what is your learning this week, the week before, this year. What have you learned? What have you put in action? Because words without action is good as dead. It's almost like faith without action is good as dead. And knowledge is not power, but the application of knowledge is power. So for me, my learning this week, as you all sort of go through, think about what you have learned. Remember, this show, I just want to let you know all, this show is not about the big political situation, the Uganda political arena. It touches upon different things about how we as a people, we individually, or in our families, how are we going to progress? And in progression, the reason why I thought about this show, Revolutionary Spa, it was about how we as a people, your individual self, how you're going to progress and then with your progression, you bring about the revolution, because the revolution cannot happen unless us as a people take individual action. Just like maybe you've seen, this, I think, was it Nakate, the 25-year-old who has come up with the climate change situation. She's supposedly one individual who's speaking out to get solutions. But what about you? This is the reason for the revolutionary spark. So it's definitely not about the politics and all of that. And because we can lament, we can talk, this time it's not about for lamentation at all. We're now in the time of acts. You heard from Mr. Chintu very clearly, and Paul Chimbugwe, that we're in a time of action, acts. So it is not about lamenting what has happened to us, who has done this to us, who has done this. We need to just get out of our sort of situation where we are lamenting, where we're crying for help, where we're wanting someone else to help us and this and that. It is not about that at all. So my apologies, just need to make sure I am communicating with my producer. So yes, it's not about lamentation. So I hope that you'll appreciate where I'm coming from, my perspective, right? So when we're learning about reflecting on learning lessons, I just want to call up this video, first of all, before we go any further into the revolution being not being a Ugandan, but a worldwide. This video about what do you think when you watch this video? What sort of things come to mind that you think, yes, it's about time. Yes, I was thinking about that. Yes, how do we get it changed? Yes, this is exactly what I thought about. So I want to call up this video. It's around the education system, how the sort of what we currently have as the education system. What do you think? Should it be the same? Should it remain the same? Isn't it about time for a revolution in the education system? Thank you.
That it is stupid. Albert Einstein once said, everybody's a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, today on trial we have modern day schooling. Glad you could come. Not only does he make fish climb trees, but also makes them climb down and do a 10-mile run. Tell me, school, are you proud of the things you've done? Turning millions of people into robots, do you find that fun? Do you realize how many kids relate to that fish swimming upstream in class, never finding their gifts, thinking they are stupid, believing they are useless? Well, the time has come, no more excuses. I call school to the stand and accuse him of killing creativity, individuality, and being intellectually abusive. He's an ancient institution that has outlived his usage. So, Your Honor, this concludes my opening statement, and if I may present the evidence of my case, I will prove it.
Proceed.
Exhibit A. Here's a modern day phone. Recognize it? Here's a phone from 150 years ago. Big difference, right? Stay with me. Here's a car from today. And here's a car from 150 years ago. Big difference, right? Well, get this. Here's a classroom of today. And here's a class we used 150 years ago. Now ain't that a shame? In literally more than a century, nothing has changed. Yet you claim to prepare students for the future? But with evidence like that, I must ask, do you prepare students for the future or the past? I did a background check on you and let the record show that you were made to train people to work in factories, which explains why you put students in straight rows, nice and neat, tell them sit still, raise your hand if you want to speak, give them a short break to eat, and for 8 hours a day tell them what to think. Oh, and make them compete to get an A letter which determines product quality, hence grade A of meat. I get it. Back then, times were different. We all have a past. I myself am no Gandhi. But today, we don't need to make robot zombies. The world has progressed. And now we need people who think creatively, innovatively, critically, independently, with the ability to connect. See, every scientist will tell you that no two brains are the same. And every parent with 2 or more children will confirm that claim. So please explain why you treat students like cookie cutter frames or snapback hats, giving them this one-size-fits-all crap.
Watch your language.
Sorry, Your Honor, but if a doctor prescribed the exact same medicine to all of his patients, the results would be tragic. So many people would get sick, yet when it comes to school, this is exactly what happens. This educational malpractice, where one teacher stands in front of 20 kids, each one having different strengths, different needs, different gifts, different dreams, and you teach the same thing the same way? That's horrific. Ladies and gentlemen, the defendant should not be acquitted. This may be one of the worst criminal offenses ever to be committed. And let's mention the way you treat your employees.
Objection. Overruled. I want to hear this.
It's a shame. I mean, teachers have the most important job on the planet, yet they're underpaid? No wonder so many students are short-changed. Let's be honest. Teachers should earn just as much as doctors, because a doctor can do heart surgery and save the life of a kid. But a great teacher can reach the heart of that kid and allow him to truly live. See, teachers are heroes that often get blamed, but they're not the problem. They work in a system without many options or rights. Curriculums are created by policymakers, most of which have never taught a day in their life. Just obsessed with standardized tests. They think bubbling in a multiple choice question will determine success. That's outlandish. In fact, these tests are too crude to be used and should be abandoned, but don't take my word for it. Take Frederick J. Kelly, the man who invented standardized testing, who said, and I quote, "These tests are too crude to be used and should be abandoned." Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if we continue down this road, the results will be lethal. I don't have much faith in school, but I do have faith in people. And if we can customize healthcare, cars, and Facebook pages, then it is our duty to do the same for education, to upgrade it, change it, do away with school spirit, because that's useless. Unless we're working to bring the spirit out of each and every student, that should be our task. No more Common Core. Instead, let's reach the core of every heart in every class. Sure, math is important, but no more than art or dance. Let's give every gift an equal chance. I know this sounds like a dream, but countries like Finland are doing impressive things. They have shorter school days. Teachers make a decent wage. Homework is non-existent, and they focus on collaboration instead of competition. But here's the kicker, boys and girls. Their educational system outperforms every other country in the world. Other places like Singapore are succeeding rapidly. Schools like Montessori, programs like Khan Academy, there is no single solution. But let's get moving, because while students may be 20% of our population, they are 100% of our future. So let's attend to their dreams, and there's no telling what we can achieve. This is a world in which I believe. A world where fish are no longer forced to climb trees. I'll rest my case.
Wow. Wow, wow. Do you know what? I truly, truly agree with Prince Iye. He's the one in the video, and talking about he's a motivational speaker or influencer, and he really, 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 it's almost like he was in my mind, because I truly believe that the education system, the way we have it, I truly believe that is not serving us. It is serving us into slavery mindsets. It's serving us into poor mindsets. It's serving us to be on the, on the conveyor belt. Just like you see those suitcases at the airport coming through, this is how it's serving us. And if they're lucky enough that the owners of these, suitcases come and rescue them and take them off the conveyor belt, they will continue going. And that's how it has made all of us to have this thought process, the thought process of being the same, but we are different. We think differently. No brain is the same. No two brains are the same. We are different. So when you think about this, the modern day slavery, this is it, the education system. It does not mean that we need to be in chains. It does not come in chains anymore, actually. We no longer have chains like it was in the slavery days over 100 or 300 years ago. It is no longer that. The modern day slavery is in our education system. It doesn't come in chains as we previously knew it. It's in the religion. The religious, in terms of, for instance, when you look in the religion, modern day slavery, when you think about the story of, I believe it's Masha, the story of this lady, I think 22-year-old Masha Amin, who was killed in police custody in Iran when by the morality police. Who gave them the order? Did God give them the permission? That it was their responsibility to police the women having veils on. Masha Amin died because she was deemed to be immoral because she did not have her veil on. So now we're having the revolution in Iran coming. So when I say the revolution is not just a Ugandan one, but a worldwide, people are turning up to say, no, enough is enough. So Masha Amin died, but that has sparked weeks and weeks of protests in Iran. There's been many protests, women taking off their veils to show, not because they want to be, immoral, but simply to show that we have had enough. We are no longer going to be policed. So the world revolution is really, it has really gone on. So when you think about this education system, the education system is about keeping us in chains. Is no longer about being chained physically, as the slaves were back over 300 years ago. It is in the religion, the economic, financial. It is the social refusal of education, or giving us the education of a blanket sort of format where they think everyone should learn the same. Remember, I studied from Uganda in most of the primary and some of the secondary education, but all we did was cram, write, copy and paste. Even if you were not good at maths, you had to perform at maths. Even if you were not good at maybe the English language, you had to write in a certain way. Why are we, all of us, forcing this silly structure? I mean, yes, it's helped some of us, but I'm not saying that we've come along where maybe we would have been farther from where we are. Because I personally feel like when I moved out of Uganda to the diaspora in UK, I found it very challenging or difficult to blend into the education system that we copied from, because I found my counterparts at age 18 were much further than me in the thinking. The way of thinking was not a copy and paste, they were independent thinkers. And I sort of had to take double the time to understand the information that was being given just in college. So when we think about the education system back home, when we have this education system of feeding us rubbish or garbage, you're paying so much school fees. Why are you doing it? Why can't you do your homeschooling? I mean, I think in the Ugandan system, it's a little bit, we still have a bit of flexibility that you can make a choice. Remember, when we say choice and the power of choice, when you make it, you can still have a choice to say that I will take homeschooling. I will not put my child in this education system because it's about making money. This private sector is about making money. You're paying a lot of money. You're pressurizing yourself. You're being in a job that you don't like. You're doing jobs that it is so much, it's huge, the impact on the parent or the guardian of that child to go into debt because you need to feed the education system. Why can't you do the same and have your child homeschooled and be able to save on the money where you don't have to be forced to be in enslavement? The job does not enslave you. The going to abroad doesn't have to enslave you because you're looking for school fees when you can do it yourself. If we've gone through the education system, we say that we've gone through college, we've gone through primary school, we've gone through secondary school, we've gone through university, we have degrees. Why can't we educate our children at home? Especially for me, when it comes to the Ugandan situation, education system, it is still flexible. Why am I saying that? It's still flexible because it doesn't have sort of a legal requirement that your child needs to be in school. It's about simply if you can't pay school fees, your child goes home. That is exactly how we experienced, because we did not, if you didn't have school fees, you are packed off back home. That tells you that it's not about the education system, the well-being of your education system of your child. It is about making money, right? So when we think about this video, the modern day slavery does not come in chains anymore. It is in the education system, it's in the economic finances. When you hear about, let's say, IMF, holding us hostage, when you hear about every Ugandan has about 2 million of debt that they have not used but has been borrowed, 45 million of them have at least 2 million of debt that needs to be paid back. When you think about the refusal of education, like I was saying, or keeping us in the classroom education infrastructure, it's all to really mold and keeping us to this sort of wearing the uniform. That is a sign of also making sure that we're all the same. But we have different minds, but we're all the same. You wear a uniform, you wear black shoes, you wear the same socks in the school setting. Now to think of it now, it has really enslaved our mindset. It hasn't liberated us or made us to have freedom. When you look at the people in the positions of leadership, of power, where are they coming from? From the same education system. So do you expect them to be different, to act differently? Because they are on autopilot. Whatever they learned at the start of their life, it was all autopilot. It was all something that they learned. The learned behavior is now engraved on the subconscious mind. Remember, we are 95% of the time on autopilot because our subconscious mind has all of the things that we are doing on a day-to-day basis. Only 5% is not. But when we go into intentional and purposeful, then we become aware of our current surroundings. And I think we are starting to be in that era where we are now being intentional and purposeful. There's an awakening. There's this whole revolution, and this worldwide. It is not just in Uganda. So when you think about this education again, how have you seen, how the health system, when you look at the family planning, the vaccinations, refusal, of no hospitals, or the migration, all of these things, emigrate or immigrate, all of those things, they are all part of these chains, unseen chains. So I just want us to come in and play this video. The video is about a worldwide revolution, and this is from Australian Revolution. Like I say, the revolution is not just Uganda, but worldwide at the moment. So let's pay attention to those things as well. So this is a protest. I believe, I'm not so sure, but it was probably about a week or so, and this was, in fact, it was probably about 2 weeks after the death of the Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth II, and the protests are about, most of it I have seen on the placards, as you would see. It's really about the Australians are saying, or the Aboriginals are saying, we no longer want the monarch. It shouldn't be about the monarch anymore. We want to have our sovereignty, and we want the Aboriginal people to have their land back, right? As you say, Australia's Indigenous community has been protesting their own day for mourning for decades. Every day, Indigenous people, they just want their land back, their rights. It's no longer about, because remember, Australia was colonized by the British. Hence the reason you see, it was originally an Aboriginal dark-skinned people, but the British colonized it many years ago. Hence the reason you see white Australians in Australia. But it was never a country of the white man. Not that I'm saying this for any sort of discrimination or anything like that, but this is the truth. The truth of the matter is that the Aboriginal people were pushed aside. They had to sort of fight for their rights in terms of getting services and all of those things. And now they've taken to the streets. And this is a video from Al Jazeera. .com. I'm sure you can go and probably search in terms of what exactly happened on that day. It's about a couple of weeks old, and it's about the worldwide revolution. So you can see, following the death of Queen Elizabeth II, the Australians, or the Aboriginal people from Australia, saying, we want a republic, well, we want sovereignty of the state, no longer a monarch. Tell me what you think in the comments. But yes, as we move on, like I said, Australia is showing how the revolution for them is starting. We have the revolution, the picture you see on the, if we could go back, the picture you see on the, is it right? No, left hand side of the screen. It's the police face to face with the people of Iran. This is the following the death of Masha. This is the people face to face with the police, or the officials, or the people in power, the police. Imagine how it would be if it happened on our motherland, that we are faced, and there's no killing, there's nothing like that, but we are standing together to say enough is enough. And again, here on the right, you can see this is the revolution, which was some time ago, about a group of Italian patriots who went to the EU headquarters and removed the EU flag and put the Italian flag. saying we want our nationality, the same thing we are saying we want our nationality, the Ugandan nationality for the indigenous people. It is the federal governance of system, which is going to give us our individuality. It is not about a blanket policy for all, this sort of new world order, which I believe everyone, a lot of people who are awoke in the worldwide format, they're about fighting this globalization of us, wanting us to own nothing but be happy. That sort of World Economic Forum, the the tag, the information, the agenda is about own nothing and be happy. What does that mean? So you don't have land. What is going on in Uganda? How can you relate it to the world revolution? It is similar. It's just that this is in the probably other countries. Everyone is fighting for their own piece of land and their own identity. It's no longer, we are not the same. We're people, we're a human race, but we're not the same. So we want our sovereignty. And in doing that, there's been a lot of protests going on around Europe, around, Asia. It's not just Uganda. So as we move forward, I think if we could let me see 1 second. Yes, if we have a video around about this revolution, I think we've played it, which is the Australian one. But as we move forward, I just wanted you to think food for thought when we go into our topic today. It's about the choice and the power of two. When we have this choice, what are you choosing? Are you choosing life or death? And what do I mean by that? Are you choosing to go on about your day-to-day business as normal, accumulate material things, or are you choosing to really understand what is going on around you in the world to make sure that you're making the right choice? The right choice is that it's no longer about the paper money. The right choice is about, we no longer want the same education system as it is. We choose to educate our children. The right choice is, or the choice that you make is, either you have the education system as it is and you remain as you are and own nothing and be happy, or you're choosing to move away from this system, the system that's enslaving our minds, the mass psychosis, right? We're all hypnotized to this system. We think we have the illusion that we are making progress, that we are owning something. We have maybe a car to drive, a nice car or nice clothes or nice house, but things are changing. When the powers that be made that choice over 30 years ago, made this UN, the UNICEF, the World Health Organization, it was not for your benefit. Anyway, as we go into the topic today, I just want us to reflect on, or reflect, or in your own personal reflection, wherever you are, just reflect on the scripture in Matthew 18, chapter 20. It's about where two or more are gathered, I'll be there in the midst. That was those were the words of Jesus when he said, where two or more are gathered, I'll be there in your midst. So my understanding, what is my understanding about this scripture? I mean, you don't have to be religious or you don't have to say you're part of the Christian faith or you're part of the Islam faith to really go and read the Bible. The Bible is there for all of us to read. And if it's a book that we say it's made a lot of impact on our society, for instance, even in the policies and governments, we see that people are swearing on the Bible. So if this book is a book where everyone is going in or swearing by, let us use it to our advantage, right? So my understanding of this scripture is that Ubuntu, Ubuntu, our ancestors were about Ubuntu. When you are because we are, we cannot stand alone. My understanding is that we cannot stand alone. This scripture, for me, means you are because we are. I am because you are. We cannot stand alone. We need one another. A child cannot be brought up alone. Remember, it takes a village to raise a child. That saying is so true. It's the same, from my understanding, is the same way where it's about where two or more are gathered. It doesn't say one, but it says where two or more are gathered. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes two parents. It takes the aunts, the uncles, or the aunties, or the uncles, the neighbors, the community. Why? For building better values, morals, respect, collectivism, accountability to others. It is about choice and the power of two. We make the choice. It is, yes, okay, you can be a single parent. I am a single parent at the moment. I am not saying that it's the best way, but life maybe has put me in that situation. Not that I choose necessarily, but it is not the best, because I know how I struggle, how I have challenges when I am having to go to work, but then I'm also having to do school runs. I'm also having to be the breadwinner, the one and everyone, the one who cleans the house, the one who takes the child to school, the one who cooks food. How it is true. So the power of two. So when we choose, we must be willing to live with our choice. So whilst doing research, I wondered how best I can articulate this message. I came across this article, which was shared through a Telegram channel that I am membership to. So when the article goes, when asked what should one live for, Putin responded, for that for which one would die. That was his response. When asked what should one live for, he responded that for that for which one would die. Ekyo omuntu kyalifiira, I believe that's the translation. One should always live for the things that one is prepared to sacrifice everything for. Your children, your family, your home, your land, your integrity, and your freedom. Life is only meaningful when you live for the things that actually give meaning to your life. This was an article that was written by Laura Aboli, and on her channel, this is a Telegram channel. So life is only meaningful when you live for the things that actually give meaning to your life. Too many people nowadays live for their jobs, their careers, their social status, and their money. But would you be prepared to die for any of those things? Some jobs, of course, can be very meaningful. Any career at the service or betterment of others, or others' careers, of others, it carries a significant purpose. And many people have been prepared to die in defense of such pursuits, which is commendable. But if we strip life down to the basics, what is there more important than the human connections we have? What is it that men fight for in the battlefields? Is it not the people they left back home? Just like we're here, is it not what we're doing? We're in the diaspora. We left people back home. What are we fighting for? I'm asking now here on UNN. It's rhetoric. You can put your comments in the chat. So she goes on to say, in 1938, Harvard started a study tracking the lives of 268 Harvard sophomores. They hoped the longitudinal study would reveal clues to leading long, healthy, and happy lives. After following the surviving Crimson men for nearly 80 years, researchers have collected a cornucopia of data on their physical and mental health. Of the original Harvard cohort, recruited only 19 are still alive, all in their mid-90s. Among the original recruits was eventual President John F. Kennedy. In addition, scientists eventually expanded their research to include the men's offsprings, their children, that's what it means, who now number 1,300 and are in their 50s and 60s, to find out how early life experiences affect health and aging over time. Over the years, researchers have studied the participants' health trajectories and their broader lives, including their triumphs and failures in careers and marriage, and to their surprise, they found that those that lived longest, healthier lives were not the health freaks, like vegetarian, I don't eat meat, that sort of thing, or I'm always exercising, but simply those that had close and happy relationships. One must therefore conclude that what is worth living for is what gives us life, and what gives us life is what is worth dying for. So at a time when they are trying to destroy everything that makes life worth living, let's be very focused on our priorities, our purpose, our determination, and that which gives us life, our connection to others. Because together, everything is possible. Those are the words of Laura Aboli channel. Her channel is on Telegram. But this is her article, her words. I found that very powerful because it means that I think worldwide view of everyone who's really seeing the changes, the very, very first changes that are happening in the world over, is that our freedoms are being impacted on. So we must fight. And our freedoms about us connecting, like here on UNN TV, when we have the community platforms on Telegram, and also maybe you all have some community platforms your membership of in WhatsApp groups or on Facebook. Just remember, we as a collective, everything is possible. The power of two or more. So we choose either to follow the things that are not getting us together, or we follow the things that are about relationships, relationship building. A family, we're a family. So Jesus said, where two or more are gathered, I am there in their midst. Everything we do is about choice. Although I didn't really understand this until I heard from Dr. Loretta Walker. She's a leadership and executive coach, also an author. She was sharing on a social media platform, on Clubhouse to be precise, about taking a leap. When we stay where we are, about choice, when we stay where we are, we we block our knowledge, or I would like to say, block our gifts and blessings. So when we acquire the knowledge, we need to be able to use this knowledge, the knowledge we acquire, to elevate ourselves, to elevate yourself from that which you were a year ago to that which you want to be, what you aspire to, what is your desire, what is your dream. The topic on that day was sometimes we get stuck in heart as in things that have hurt us in the past, maybe a relationship, maybe someone has broken your trust. We get stuck there. We get stuck in things like, for instance, when you look at the NUP followers, it's about on our president, but it's in denial. You remain in that denial. You get stuck. You don't move forward. So it is a choice to stay in the toxic environments. And you can fill in, obviously, the blanks. So what are those toxic environments? Is it a relationship? It is a choice to stay in the education system we currently have, because you take your child every time, you pay school fees every time, you make the choice, not looking at the options. You make a choice to live the lifestyle you live. You make the choice to be in the relationship you're in. You make the choice to take on the job that you're in. You make a choice to follow which politician or not. You make a choice in how you're going to form relationships. What is going to be your contribution to the revolution? You're making a choice. So when we move around, be it in a job or relationship, we are only moving the blocks. We're moving around in circles. We're not necessarily moving upwards. We're moving around, and that moving around on a hamster wheel does not get us anywhere. So we can be here all day and talk about the political situation at home. We can be here all day when we talk about this politician did this one did that, this one. But as long we're just moving around in circles, we're not moving upwards to elevate ourselves, to be greater than. So like you, I am too a product of our environment that is limiting us from moving forward. We move on a hamster wheel. We never ever get to move forward, to expand, to go into the unknown, to take a leap of faith. But we are on the right track. So that is not going to hold us back. Whatever happened in 2020, 2021 will not hold us back. We're moving forward. Whatever happens on the journey that happened yesterday, don't let it stop you from being on the right track. We don't always have to have all the answers, by the way. When we move forward, sometimes we don't have to have all the answers. Just like you come here every day on UNN, and when UFCC was announced, when Chibuge comes on every day to say this is our direction, sometimes he doesn't have to have all the answers. So let's not wait for all the answers all the time. We don't have all the answers. But the most important thing is that we've started, we're moving forward. That is the key. We start and we continue to move step by step. Whatever thing that you're doing in your life to contribute to the revolution, you are doing something. And as a collective, as a conscious, we are all having this collective consciousness. We are no longer unconscious. We are very conscious about what we want. We are clear about where we want to be. That is the best thing out of it, because we are clear. We have a direction. We have a desire of we wanting change, the freedom. That is the best thing. You do not have, we do not have to have all the answers step by step what is going to. No, we don't, because we are not God. We are not magicians to see, or we're not prophets. But when we do, we are saying, let's see what we will find along the way. Let us go through this journey together to see what will happen, what will be along the way. And we will put in place those small steps that will allow us to contribute to the bigger. So sometimes our story is not our own. So you watching me today, how are you moving forward from all said and done here? How do you take charge with your Federal 5, for instance, or creating your association? You are whatever you need to be creative. You are enough, and go beyond yourself for the greater good. It will be a loss to creation if we fail to evolve. So let us today, here and now, be that, accepting that sometimes our story is not our own. We are probably here making the stories for our children, our children's children, and our children's children. We don't have to necessarily have the results in our hands. This is the one thing that most of the time holds us back, because ofunira wa ekyo ekintu ky'okuba nti tufunira wa nfunira wa, that mentality has held us back, as we can see it very clearly and evident in our society, in our hospitals, our education, our social care system, our infrastructure, our public services, the politicians. We can see that very clearly. Nfunira wa. So the power of choice and the power of two, or choice and the power of two. The power of two is a universal law, It's said in the Bible, it says in philosophy, it's a universal law. As we strive for our individual goals, we know the truth is we cannot go it alone. There are two sides to each story or coin, so to speak. The left and the right brain, a yes or no to make a decision, not saying anything. It is making a decision. It's a choice. Every time you aim for a goal, you need someone else to help you to achieve that goal. We need two hands to grab onto something of substance. In other words, for instance, something large, big, life choices, those things we need to have two hands. Those two hands is me and you. Otherwise, we're going to drop one thing out of our hands, and it might be the education system, it might be the political, the healthcare system, it might be the financial, it might be having the best leaders, the values, morals. As you can see, we dropped a hand. We did not go hand in hand. Look at the media, what we are exposed to, what our children are exposed to. We need two ideas to decide whether one we are comparing it with works or not. Is it the best of the two? What is the best? For instance, open the door or close the door. You are choosing. The physical and the spiritual, the seen and unseen, those are all both two sides. There's two sides, above and below. Above and below. That is it, two sides. Heaven, hell concept. Those are two sides, opposite or similar. Raising a family, a father and mother. That is the power of two. Employee, employer. There cannot be an employer if there's no employee. There cannot be, a buyer and there's no seller. There cannot be a consumer if there is no producer. There are always two, the power of two. So when we consider this concept in our lives, our micro lives, the small scale, or if we look at it from the macro, the large scale, it is important to consider this phenomenon about the power of two. Because if there is no voters, for instance, there won't be politicians. If people do not turn up at the ballots, then there won't be people standing for positions. I was talking to my family the other day, and we reflected on our achievements and challenges. This brought to light feelings of why we have not maybe been achieving our best when we are alone. We've all done individual things, but we have not sort of exceeded the, our highest, we've not elevated to the highest point of achievement. I'm not saying achieving is in our property, but generally in together, when we know we're about the same values, we know we love the same things, but we always end up doing things alone sometimes, and this impacts on the power of success. How far we can succeed is in the power of two. We recognize that the power of two is key to our individual or family circumstances. So as I go into the last section of our show today, as we sort of conclude, not conclude, but we go into the last section, the age of believing is over. We are in the phase, we are in the age of knowing. The age of believing is over. We are in the age of knowing. I'll just read one more article from Laurie again, and I found it again very powerful, and hopefully you might find it too, and reflect on what you think about sort of the worldwide. Think about the macro, not just your local or community, but the macro, the worldwide. She goes on to say, we live in a world that's been purposefully inverted, like upside down. It's no longer the right way, as it should be, as it was created, right? Inverted, that's what it means. We live in a world that's been purposefully inverted. They have methodically tried to brainwash everyone to think that the right is wrong and the wrong is right. That good is bad and bad is good. Remember when Prince Zimbabwe talked about this in Get Off the Hook, I think about a couple of weeks ago, about normalizing things. We've normalized things like we will film when someone is being physically abused. We will film something because, people dying on the road. For instance, when that the convoy or president's convoy sort of, killed people, we will film and share, and that's okay. Instead of what are we doing? Throwing our phones on the other side and saying, no, I need to save a life. So this article is really about that. I'll repeat it again. We live in a world that's been purposefully inverted. They have methodically tried to brainwash everyone to think that right is wrong and wrong is right. That good is bad and bad is good. That traditional values are archaic, and wokeness makes sense. That men can be women and women can be men. That women can choose to murder their unborn child, and that's okay. That there is no creator and there was simply a bang. That we are not sovereign, powerful beings with a soul, but rather weak, useless, flawed animals, easily replaced by machines. In a world that's upside down, you need to go against the flow in order to see things for what they are. The truth can only be glimpsed when you are prepared to look at things from every angle, but most of all, when you are prepared to look inside. The answers to everything lie within. If the world was silenced for a moment, if everyone stopped making noise, if we all took the time to listen to our souls, we would instantly have the answers. We would know that we all share the same provenance and that we are here to learn through a physical experience that which our soul already knows. We would know that life is sacred in every shape and form. We would know that there is a perfect design and intention in every molecule that makes up this universe. And we would know that we are all part of a monumental web of energy that feeds and informs everything. A sacred symphony of life that vibrates to God's frequency. We would know that we were stupid to look outside of ourselves when the answers were always inside. Look up, look down, look every side and back, but never forget that the answers lie inside. Let that sink in. Whilst you're reflecting on those words, so appreciation to Laura Aboli channel. It's on Telegram. Let's look at this video. It might be low volume, but let's have a look. This is a video from 10 years ago about an author, from this author, who talked about the world control of finances and the powers that be, and sort of resonates exactly what we are going through, this awakening, the consciousness, the revolution. So remember, we're not outside of the world, we're inside the world as a country, as Uganda. So whatever is going on around us, it impacts on our revolution as well.
Hello. My name is Montague William III, and what I will tell you may well sound absurd, but the less who believe it, the better for me. For you see, I'm in banking and big industry. For many a year we have controlled your lives, while you all just struggle and suffer in strife. We created the things that you don't really need, your sports cars and fashions and plasma TVs. I remember it clearly how all this begun. Family secrets from father to son, inherited knowledge that gives me the edge, while you people lie sleeping at night in your beds. We control the money that controls your lives. Whilst you worship false idols and wouldn't think twice about selling your souls for a place in the sun, these things that won't matter when your time is done. But as long as they're there to control the masses, I just sit back and consider my assets, safe in the knowledge that I have it all, while you common people are losing your jobs. You see, I just hold you in utter contempt. But the smile on my face, well, it makes me exempt. For I have the weapon of global TV, which gives us connection and invites empathy. You would really believe that we look out for you, while we bankers and brokers are only a few. But if you saw that, you'd take back the power. Hence, daily terrors to make you all cower. The panics, the crashes, the wars, and the illness that keep you from finding your spiritual wholeness. We rig the game, and we buy out both sides to keep you enslaved in your pitiful lives. So, go out and work as your body clock fades. And when it's all over, a few years from the grave, you'll look back on all this, and just then you'll see that your life was nothing, a mere fantasy. There are very few things that we don't now control. To have lawyers and police force was always a goal, doing our bidding while you march on the street. But they never realize that they're only just sheep. For real power resides in the hands of a few. You voted for parties. What more could you do? But what you don't know is they're one and the same. Old Gordon has passed good old David the reins, and you'll follow the leader who was put there by you. But your blood, it runs red, while our blood runs blue. But you simply don't see it's all part of the game. Another distraction, like money and fame. Get ready for wars in the name of the free, vaccinations for illness that will never be, the assault on your children's impressionable minds, and a microchipped world. You'll put up no fight. Information suppression will keep you in tone. Depopulation of peasants was always our goal. But eugenics was not what we hoped it would be. Oh yes, it was us that funded Nazis. But as long as we own all the media too, what's really happening does not concern you. So just go on watching your plasma TV, and the world will be run by the ones you can't see.
Thank you all. Thank you. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is the Revolutionary Spa, and this means revolutionary self-purposeful action. It is your host, Sophia Sebi. I am about to conclude, but whoever repeats this or sees the team repeat, I hope that it is worth listening to this, and it's worth knowing something outside of just Ugandan community, because the revolution is not just the Ugandan one. The revolution is all going on around us, because if we don't know what is going on worldwide, we might be back in the same position whereby we are found in a state of ignorance, and we will again would have fought for nothing, would have been here for nothing, would have come for nothing. We would have been every day on UNN for nothing if we don't know what's going on around us, because the financial situation impacts on the overall situation. in our country. And what you see in terms of how there's not enough money now, apparently from, I believe it was Kasaija, is it? Saying there was not enough money. That is all intentional, because this echoes exactly what other leaders are saying around the world at the moment. So the education system, which I'm passionate about, which is dwindling. The other day I was telling my there's someone I care for pay school fees. I said this is the last time I am paying school fees. So these are some of the things we need to take in our own little, lives. These are some of the things we might need to take, like to take hard decisions, choices, to say that actually I'm not going to be part of this. And how do you start? We need to start by saying, actually, I don't see a report card giving me any results. And anyway, why do we need report cards? Just like you've seen the video earlier, the first video we played, about these report cards, the competition that we get into, should not be about competition. Because we crammed and chemistry, physics, what happened? How is it helpful right now in our own individual lives? Yes, it would probably be helpful if you wanted to be an engineer, if you wanted to be a scientist, but if you're not that sort of person, how is it helpful now? So we spent over 10 years in the education system, paying into the system because it's all about making money. Whilst we go and I'm sure some people have taken loans to go to university or to take up a course or whatever, have taken quite a bit of money, and then you have to be forced to be in a job that you don't like. I'm saying all of this because every choice that we make has a consequence, and we need to live by this choice. So what if you didn't make a choice to leave your home and go abroad? What if we didn't have to leave to take our children to these schools that are incompetent because they're not guaranteeing you a job at the end of it? What if we decide that we need to live off our land so that we know that when those people come to take our land, we are still there? What if we made an intentional, purposeful choice that we educate our children, and we therefore educate our children what exactly we want? We shape their lives, because remember, a child's environment is key to their upbringing, to their subconscious mind. Is the environment in which they are brought up in. So if the environment, like me, I spent a lot of the time in, as a younger child in boarding school, at such a very young age in boarding school, because of course our parents did not know. But let us start from now, this generation. We are woke. Why can't we do differently? We don't have to follow the same, to go down the same route. We don't have to be on the same conveyor belt. We don't have to be on the same hamster wheel. We need to break this chain. And it starts with you and me, those small steps that you take, right? You acknowledge, how do we change our perception? How do we change this status quo? We acknowledge, first of all, things that you can take away from here. We can acknowledge, first of all, that there are limiting beliefs that you desire to change. We need to acknowledge that there is something not working here. Because if it was working, you have a whole list of things that are working and things that are not working. I'm sure the list of not working would outweigh the list of those things that have worked in your life. And this can be individual, on the marriage, on the family as we knew it. We had this collectivism where we take children to the grandparents. They learn. Nowadays, you don't see children going back to the grandparents. Why do you think that maybe people are dying, the mortality rate is higher? Because what kept people so close, what kept our grandparents maybe live a bit longer, because we visited them, we called them, we went there every holiday. Nowadays, that is not the case. Instead, we are stuck in boxes. Children are not climbing trees. Children are not out and about learning what fruit this is, what fruit that is, what is biology. Isn't that biology? When we learn this is the fruit, the human body. There's no resilience because we're shielding these children into boxes, and they on social media constantly, on computers constantly, and all of this is very challenging, especially when you're not on your own motherland, especially when you're abroad. It is very challenging to try to continue, sort of giving the children what exactly they need outdoors, playing with their friends, with the neighbors, whatever it is. All these children who have ADHD, ASD, or attention deficit disorder, all those things are contributing from the lifestyles that we're living, the lifestyles of wanting material things, of filling ourselves with phones and phones and phones, computers everywhere, TV all the time, 24 hours. So let's get rid of them to create a new truth. We need to change our behaviors. If you need to go into counseling to speak to somebody, speak to somebody. As many of you know, I do, I am a social worker. If people want to speak to me, I am free. I'm sure there's been some of you who have, sent me DMs directly. You need mentoring to try and get out of this system. Reading a book or two, or get rid of friends who are not helpful, environments that do not add value, reprogramming, reinvent, rebrand, replace. Be consistent, repeat the new habits. Who are you surrounding yourself with? Are you networking or making acquaintances with people that will help you achieve your dream or goals, desire? Are you writing down your intentions? How are you clear about exactly where you want to be in 5 years' time, in 2 years' time, in 1 year's time, and exactly how you're going to achieve it? And what are you going to be giving in return? Because remember, nothing is for free. You can do a bit of more research around the laws of the universal laws, where you have law of substitution, law of suggestion, the law of neutrality. Substitution is replacing our poor thoughts with new thoughts through prayer, meditation. I'm not saying do extraordinary, but we need to live differently, radically from how we are living now, if we are to achieve that which we are praying for, the Uganda that we want to see, transformed. It will not happen if individually we don't transform. So saying to yourself that you are confident, you have abundance, not always a poor mindset of I am poor, I'm this. No, even when you don't have tangible, because I'm sure what we see is the money, the things, the buildings, then we call ourselves successful. But the success is the knowledge that you have, the wisdom that you have accumulated, knowing that you can do this and you can get away from the reality that, or illusion that has been created. The world is impersonal, nature is impersonal, God is impersonal. So in conclusion, speak positively about your life, others. Remember, we become what we think about 95% of the time. So if you are constantly thinking about negative thoughts, nothing positive will come out of it. You are creating your reality. Your perception of the world is about negativity, so it will be. Our attitude to life must change because there is a solution to everything. So instead of coming up with different ways of how things may not work, maybe we concentrate on the ways of how things will work. Before, for instance, I had about a couple of weeks ago when Paul was saying to a caller who said who was saying something like difficult, how are we going to achieve this? But before you call to say it is difficult to solve this problem or that problem, start with positivity, saying, I acknowledge the challenges that we have overcoming this and that, and I suggest we can overcome it like this or like that. As you have noticed, this forum is not your typical classroom. You are the community, the association to get us moving to our freedom. You are the puzzle or piece on the other or piece on the other side of the coin. And we, the educators and the UNN as a collective, are the other. We are together. We together are the power of two. You and I are the power of two. We cannot serve two masters at the same time. We can either decide that we no longer serve mainstream and we need to rebuild. But what I have realized is that we cannot be 1 foot inside, 1 foot out. It's either right or left at this time, the way things are going. We cannot serve two masters. We cannot want the popularity. We cannot want to sort of go on our lives about accumulating things and being in this materialistic world, but at the same time, we want to live extraordinary and have our freedom. Just one last quote from Dr. Umar Ifatunde. I'm not sure if you know him, but he's on Facebook, Dr. Umar Ifatunde. He said in a recent post, he said about I think it was about a month or so ago, he said something interesting. He said something like, we want to be free of white oppression, but we don't want to be free of white materialism and values. Let that sink in. I would say it again. We want to be free of white oppression, but we don't want to be free of white materialism. So it's almost like we're not wanting to stay white on the outside, but so, you see me and all, but then on the inside we are, because we're taking the values. So I'm just going to, I wanted to say a prayer, but I just want to pray for all of those people who have been hurt, all of us. I pray for all of us. In fact, I will say it because we spend so much time doing everything else and not dedicating to prayer. But prayer dedicated to my brothers and sisters of Karamoja especially and beyond. And of course, our brother Naduli Jr. To the mothers, I cannot comprehend what you must be going through, your pain, and I am sorry for not doing enough. I can only dedicate my encouraging words to you and all those who have lost loved ones to the injustices, torture, and imprisonment of the dictatorial regimes. God the Almighty, have mercy on us that we continue to be courageous, to be a voice of the voiceless. Almighty God, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Almighty God, forgive us so that we keep our hearts less hardened for the future of our motherland, not get consumed by anger because it paralyzes, but consumed by hope, zeal, passion, and consistency. God, we ask for mercy, mercy that we see clearly that which is in front of us and not turn a blind eye. God, have mercy on your people, on your Uganda, on your Eden. May it arise and arise from the darkness that befalls it. Like your children of Israel, awaken a courageous Moses in your people like you did then. We ask the Almighty to awaken mighty Moses in each one of us. At least a Moses who you see fit to take on this test of parting the Red Sea of our world. Almighty, we thank you for the courage of those who have sacrificed their freedoms with their lives and continue to do so. God, we thank you for the bravery of those who have endured the scourges and continue today. Amen. Before I go, don't forget to follow, subscribe, and share our page and program with your friends. They will thank you later, I'm sure. And also, I just want to just say thank you to all of those who are on YouTube. I'm taking my phone just to say thank you, Mara Caroline, Karen, thank you so much. Shamrawa Fedro, thank you. Sempala Ramadan Karim, thank you. I think who else? Betty Nansuga, thank you. Isa Samil, thank you. Gustavus Mugambi, thank you. And yes, the video, I think it was Betty Nansuga who said the video didn't have volume. No, I think it was Gustava. Was it Gustavo or Betty? But anyway, someone said the video, which was the Australian video, it was intentional that it didn't have the audio. So it wasn't an error or technical error. So Shamrawa Fedra said thank you. Sempara Ramadan, yes. Mara, I appreciate you for holding it firm on YouTube. Thank you so much. Sarah N, thank you. Who else? W Zanki, yeah. Say thank you so much, Zanki. Thank you. Jeremy Pedro, thank you. Anyone else who's still in Cambodia and they didn't share, they didn't comment or interact that way, I thank you so much. And going now on Facebook, Susan Nakabugo, thank you. Hajatwa Fedro Shakira, thank you. Esther Mukwano Guam Kama, thank you. Fiona Mulunji, thank you. Prince Papyre Davis, thank you. Country Uganda, Joseph Collins Mwau, thank you. Cisgo Godlink, thank you. Liazi Anuda, thank you. Luboyera Edward, thank you. David Mugisha, I haven't seen you, but thank you. Nia Pepe, I haven't seen you, but thank you so much if you're watching or if you're repeating. Dio D Pepe, thank you. Daniel Chigozi, Setimba Alex, I think I did mention your names at the start, but I just want to appreciate you all, and we appreciate the stars supporting UNN. Thank you so much. But I will leave you with this video of how best we can continue to rebuild from other experts and some other people outside of ourselves, that they are actually also going through a revolution and they are on the same page as we are. And maybe you can do further research by seeing these other experts or other people talking about the change and how we can rebuild, reinvent, rebrand. So thank you all for today, for this evening. Have a good weekend. Happy new month. Sometimes I feel like I don't even want to say happy new month. You know what? I'm trying to change my mindset from having this 30 month or this monthly thing, having this looking at the clock all the time, or these 7 days a week. I just feel like there's this awakening consciousness that is really changing everything we know about humanity. And so these things that keep us in boxes about the 7 day week, going 9 to 5 job, clocking in and clocking out, doing things the same way. I want to completely do the opposite. That article I read to you, it was about doing the opposite. So I think it's about time we do opposite of everything that we think is right, because nothing is truth anymore. As I think Chrisland was mentioning something about the mainstream media. There's nothing that's truthful anymore. Hence the reason we need to support independent news, social media platforms like UNN all the time. So I leave this video with you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. Connect with my page, Sophia Sebi, the African Parent Buddy. It's all about mentoring, parents, those who are maybe going through separation of, or going to court, or they don't really know what to do in terms of advice, how to manage, effective contact arrangements. You really feel frustrated, hopeless, disempowered. You don't have morale on how to tackle difficult relationships in parenting, and you want to be helped, assisted. Contact me. You can go on my page and follow, share, whatever you do. But when we come back to the revolutionary spur, choice and the power of two. Choice and the power of two is, let that sink in. Let it be our weekly, maybe this whole month. Let's reflect maybe on choice and the power of two, or even this week or the weekend, so that every time you're doing something, you think about choice, and then you think about the power of two. Every time that you think you want to do something alone, or you don't want to celebrate other people for their achievements, or you don't want to support, remember choice and the power of two. Thank you so much. I'll leave this video with you, and good evening wherever you are. Good day or good afternoon wherever you are. And by the way, when there's something about, just one last thing, there's this whole thing about maybe a food for thought, another thing about good morning, like morning. What does that mean? I was looking at I think it was a share in the UNN Telegram, and it was about why morning is, it's almost like we are paying tribute to some god, or we're sacrificing, or we are sort of doing mantras. Remember, Prince Page talked to us about signs and words and all of those things. So I would say good day. Enjoy your evening. God bless you. Love, peace, and joy.
Agenda is about life and death. Only if people understand how serious it is, these people are trying to literally kill us. Because and this is another thing that people need to understand, they have infiltrated all levels of society, and they have been doing this for the past 30 years. That's why everyone is acting in lockstep. And that's why we need to make this clear to the people that they've been very successful. They've been really good at what they're doing. That's why we have to understand that we cannot trust our leaders, because they're not our leaders. They're the ones who were infiltrated into the judiciary, into medicine, the economy, politics. They're their leaders. We can only trust ourselves. That's why we must connect with each other. Start all these, this is what I feel is really important. Step away from that system. Blow them out of the water when we have the chance to do that. All of these global NGOs, global corporations, they're collapsing. Right now they're collapsing. We need to set up our own self-sufficient communities and then connect with each other. That's what gives us the power.